Okay, this one is really weird and tough. So I'm going to kind of try to really show you what I see in my brain when I approach this question. First things first, I'm always trying to predict the question. And I notice that, yeah, the words are changing, but the words that are changing are kind of like words that are right up against this comma. And I know that commas are a thing, right? I mean, I need to think about how the comma is functioning. Is sentence structure important? And I also know from experience that this phrasing, not only, but also, is a common thing on the SAT. It's a real thing in the real world. However, we don't use it very often when we talk. Writers do, but you might not have a ton of experience with this phrasing, but it is a real thing. And there are lots of ways to use it. So it's basically just a fancy way of saying that two things are true. Not only were such regulations meant to ensure the efficiency of the business and the safety of the workers, but also something about raising people's low opinion of the restaurant industry, right? And that second piece is the problem. There's two components to this, and they kind of need to be symmetrical. And when we do that, we need to think about the sentence structure. So the first piece, though, I guess, is C is definitely wrong because the but is a key component of this. So not only, but also, that's kind of just the way it's set. Now, I'm also thinking about sentence tense here and symmetry. And so not only were they meant to ensure the efficiency of the business and the safety of the workers, but also helped seems to make sense, right? Helped is also past tense, kind of like the word meant, whereas helping is changing the tense in a weird way. We'd really want both parts of this to be in symmetry. And so that's going to get rid of both B and C. And okay, now we've got a narrower decision to make. Do we need these extra words? Or this extra word, only one, they, right? Yeah. And normally, we know to keep it short, right? Pick shorter choices. So that would lead us to A. However, the answer is actually D. And that's because there's a grammar rule here that is overriding my normal instinct. And this is where it's going to get weird. So this is how I think about this. So bear with me. When I see the not only, I kind of see a parentheses. Okay? And then after the but also, after all the but also clause is done, I have another parentheses, a closed parentheses. They're not actually there, but I see them in my mind. I think of it this way. And so what's kind of happening, because this is like a two-part way of phrasing things, it's like distribution in math. If I have something outside of the parentheses, it gets distributed to both parts of what's inside. So if I have something outside in the sentence, it's going to apply to both of the pieces in there. But this is the beginning of the sentence. There is nothing outside. It's kind of like in math when we just have parentheses to start something off. They don't matter, right? We can just ignore them because there's nothing outside of them to affect anything, right? So we just drop it. And so for that reason, there is nothing that is being distributed to both parts, specifically the second part, okay? So that's why we need the they, right? What does the they refer to? The they refers to the regulations. Not only were such regulations meant to ensure the efficiency of the business and the safety of the workers, but the regulations also helped to raise people's generally low opinion of the restaurant industry, okay? And since the regulations piece is talked about in both the not only and the but also, and there's nothing outside of the not only to kind of make the regulations apply to both. I need to make it there. I need to put it there. Okay? So that's what the they is doing. I understand this is really confusing. So if you're not 100% with me, I'm going to give you an example, a counterexample in a second. But the way I'm thinking of it is the regulations has already been distributed into both of these parts. So I need it to be in part A, part 1, which it is. It's listed there. But I also need it to be in part 2 because there's nothing distributing it. There's nothing putting it there outside of this sentence structure. So it needs to be there. And so that means I'm going to need an extra word. And so I violate the normal rule and I pick something that's longer because I need it there for grammar. Let me try to rephrase this sentence in a way where the distribution becomes more obvious. I'm going to try my best to write neat here. I'm not good at this. Okay. I'm going to trim things a little bit. Regulations not only ensured efficiency, but also helped raise opinions. Let's just shorten it that way. Okay. Shorter sentence. I got rid of a lot of the fluff, right? A lot of the extra details. But the main heart of the sentence is there. Now, a couple things. Notice the not only and the but also still are there, but now the but also does not have this they. It just goes right into helped. And so why is that way? Because kind of the same thing I was saying before. I almost, in my mind, think of parentheses as coming right before the not only, but this time, regulations does get distributed to both parts. So I don't need to repeat it when I get to the but also. It's already there. It's already being distributed because of this way that the sentence is kind of structured. Regulations not only ensured efficiency, but also helped raise opinions. It's a little clunky, it's a little weird, and so I think that that's why the original version of this sentence, wrote it the way it did and repeated regulations, is the sentence was so long it was getting confusing what we were talking about. So rather than deal with the distribution, they were just like, we'll just put it in both places. But this is still valid, and so this is how you have to think about this not only but also, is it's like a sentence structure. It's kind of like a thing where, what's outside of the sentence structure can be applied to both pieces inside of it. And so we see a similar thing sometimes with lists on the SAT and the way that we choose whether or not we need extra words in lists. This doesn't come up very often, so if you're still confused, I wouldn't worry about it. It's not a high priority. Hopefully it made enough sense that you can get why we have to violate a normal rule, picking the shortest choice. But generally speaking, if you aren't sure, pick the shortest choice. And so in this case, if you picked A simply because it was shorter, I don't really blame you. You kind of did the right thing. It just, you hit upon an exception. But most of the time, the rule will be that you would be right. So keep following the rule.